Now that you've had plenty of time to practice and improve your CPM movement, optimizing your inputs is critical to becoming a master of your mobility. Today I've got 2 tweaks for you that'll help you squeak out every last bit of speed from your CPM champion. Our first tweak is easily the tougher of the 2 that we're going to discuss. While transitioning from standard strafe jumping into CPM style air strafing, under certain conditions you will watch your speed abruptly drop. Chiefly, this happens when you attempt to air strafe in the same direction that you were just strafe jumping. For example, if you're holding forward and right to strafe jump and decide to swap to holding only right and then begin air strafing, you'll notice an instant and inexplicable loss of speed. This of course also applies when strafe jumping to the left, then transitioning to a left turning air strafe. This speed loss is most noticeable above 600 UPS, but technically still happens even below that. The solution is really simple in practice, but it's a bit hard to explain, so unfortunately, I need to spend a couple more minutes breaking everything down in order to get you back up to speed, no pun intended. When strafe jumping, the direction you're looking is different than the direction your champion is actually traveling. This is to say that if you're holding forward and right on your keyboard while moving your mouse to the right, you're essentially moving your mouse further and further away from an invisible straight line, which represents the direction your character is currently traveling. It's like the direction of your momentum versus the direction of where you're looking. To visualize this better, and I wish there was a bigger map that I could actually really show this on, everywhere just seems a little too small to really work, but whatever. Imagine that you were to stop moving your mouse, stop pressing any movement keys, and simply keep bunny hopping. Just hold the spacebar if you want and let go of everything else. Whatever direction your character ends up going, irrespective of where your mouse aim might actually be, is where this invisible momentum line resides, or as I will be calling it for this video, a momentum vector. Now, here's a different way of thinking about it if that didn't make sense, and this definition will require a little suspension of disbelief, but just roll with me on this one. When you move your mouse, imagine that you're turning your character's head, but not your shoulders, not your body. When you're strafe jumping, your shoulders and your body are constantly trying to catch up to where your head is looking, so no matter which way your head is looking, there's a line you can draw that is perpendicular to your shoulders, which goes straight in front of you. That, again, is your vector of momentum. However you need to visualize it, this line effectively represents the momentum vector of your champion. Again, this is not totally 100% accurate, but just for the sake of explanation, it's close enough. This imaginary line, this momentum vector, is of course being tugged in a direction by your strafe jumping, but it exists nonetheless. What you need to do, and this is the actual tweak you need to make, so pay attention here. If you were zoning me out, this is where you pay attention. What you need to do when transitioning from a strafe jump to a CPMA air strafe in the same direction is to move your mouse first in the opposite direction and center it to the momentum vector that your character has. From there, then you can transition to a CPM air strafe from that position. So basically you're resetting your mouse position before you actually switch over to that CPM air strafe. This minor change will let you make these movement style transitions a lot more smoothly. You've sort of got to reprogram your brain a bit, but once you do, it all happens seamlessly in actual play. In fact, I'm so used to doing it this way now that I struggled to do it the wrong way just for the purposes of this video. So again, that explanation happened kind of quick. Let's go through it one more time. Start strafe jumping. Let's say that you're going in the left direction, so your mouse keeps pulling further and further away from that so-called momentum vector of your champion. As it should, by the way. This is correct strafe jumping. That's what needs to happen. Once you decide it's time to transition from strafe jumping in that left direction to air strafing in the CPM style, do this. Instead of letting go of your forward key and strafing hard to your left while never even stopping that mouse movement, you must first return your aim to that center point to match your momentum vector. Alternatively, think of it as turning your head back in line with your shoulders. From that point, release the forward key while still holding left and start strafing your mouse to the left, and you'll notice that you don't lose any speed at all when making this transition. Now, you might lose a little bit just because you can only strafe so hard, and the faster and faster you go, you notice that drag when you start to turn too hard. That may happen and lose you some speed, but that is a separate mechanic entirely from what's happening here. If you do this perfectly, you will not lose any speed at all. Now, what about the situations where you're swapping directions entirely when you swap movement styles? That is to say that if you're strafe jumping left and you want to air strafe to the right, well, this requires no change to your fundamentals that you already know. You're not going to lose momentum when changing directions in this way, so you don't need to do anything differently. This first tweak only applies to same direction movement style changes, so going from strafe jumping into CPM movement. Moving on to our second tip. This one is a lot easier, and a lot of you veterans almost certainly know this one already, but still, it bears repeating for those who don't know. When flying around the map, having fun with your CPM movement, I see a lot of players getting into the habit of simply holding their jump key down and never letting go, letting the game auto bunny hop for them. While this is perfectly functional and will get you almost all of your speed, old wisdom states that holding the jump key actually hinders your ability to build speed when either strafe jumping or CPM air strafing. You should try to time your bunny hops manually whenever feasible, with stair climbs being the major exception here. Now, I gotta be honest, I don't care deeply enough about this tweak to run hard tests and estimate mathematically and numerically how much of a difference this actually makes. Also, I can't say I terribly feel the difference myself anyways. However, even if there isn't actually validity to all these claims I keep being barraged with in my Twitch chat constantly, it doesn't hurt you to adopt this change anyways. This iteration of Quake is the only modern game that comes to my mind with advanced movement techniques that has an automatic bunny hop feature. If you only learn how to move in this game by holding jump and never letting go, you're simply hurting yourself in the long run for when you switch to another game. For those of you that are hearing this for the first time and want to start practicing this, do this first. Instead of holding jump at all times, try only holding it just before you hit the ground, holding only until you're sure that your character has jumped automatically. Get off that jump button whenever you're positive it's not going to instantly result in a jump. So if you're at the apex of that jump, clearly you don't need to be holding the button at that point. You can let it go. Start practicing there. With time and practice, you'll start narrowing down that time period that you crutch on holding the button until you're comfortable enough to truly just simply tap it for every single jump, and you'll find that in enough time and enough practice, every one of your B-hops is going to be timed perfectly with just a simple tap and no holding required. This is something that you can very easily and very passively practice no matter what you're doing, whether you're playing a real match or not, and will positively benefit you not only in Quake, but in any other game that allows you to conserve momentum by bunny hopping. For heaven's sake, even a game as casual as Destiny 2 lets you do this, and they don't even give you auto bunny hop. It's worth your time to get these bunny hops perfect. Learn how to do it in general, just to make yourself a better video game player if you're going to play these styles of games. And if this change just so happens to make your CPM movement that tiny bit faster, then that's just icing on top. Anyways, everyone, thank you all for watching, and I hope that you've learned something new. As always, if you have any questions, feel free to leave them down below, and I'll do my best to answer as many as I reasonably can. If you love what I do and want to throw money at me for some reason, you can now become a paid member of the channel by clicking that blue join button next to the subscribe button. Or you can support via Patreon or Twitch sub as well if you really wanted to do that. Keep up with me on social at the links in the description box down below. Blocks? Box. It's a box, not a block. Anyways, go down there, click the buttons there to get early info on all my future video projects, dank memes, live stream announcements whenever I do decide to do that, if that is your cup of tea. Anyways, guys, hope to see you elsewhere on the internet. Leave your questions down below if you have them, and I will see you next time. Take care.